Tubers and Trolls, Chris here with Telesplash Gaming. Welcome back to the channel. If it's your first time, thanks for popping in. And as you can see, I've got a new addition to the game room. The Walmart exclusive arcade 1-up for Mortal Kombat. I've stayed away from the arcade 1-ups so far because I do have a main machine, but when Mortal Kombat was announced, I just couldn't help myself. I've been checking inventory for a few weeks, and I finally saw that it was in, and I grabbed it. So now the question is it worth 300 of your hard-earned dollars? Well, I made the purchase, I've had a chance to check it out, so I'm going to help you guys make a decision on that. Stick around, let's take a look. Alright, first things first. Is this thing not sick looking or what? I mean, realistically, this might be one of the best looking arcade 1-up cabinets. I love the Street Fighter one as well. But Raiden on the side, the red pinstriping, the marquee, I wish it lit up, but you know, $300 you're probably not going to get a light up marquee. But the marquee matches up well. It really is a true replica of the Mortal Kombat 2 arcade from when I was a kid. This is what I remember. This is the exact replica except smaller. Now I'm sitting down in a chair and it's on a riser, so when I stand up, it's the perfect height for gaming with a riser. Without the riser, it's tiny. But I got the riser for $33 on clearance because somebody returned it. I don't know, maybe some dwarf warriors bought it and they realized the riser made it too tall. I have no idea. But with that being said, I love the way this thing looks. That's the first thing I love about it. Second thing, I had to put it together, obviously. So when I got it in here, I put it together in this room, which is a little bit tight space. I have a game room, but I put it in my office, knowing I'd film this video, and it took me about an hour. If I had someone else to help, it would have been, you know, a lot more convenient, because a few times you kind of had to balance something, but about an hour to put it together. And when I pulled it out, these were all one big piece, which was really nice. And the thing I loved was that I didn't have to put any stickers together. I didn't have to put any bezels. That always freaks me out. I'm terrible when it comes to like stickers and stuff. It's like if there's a square, I can't line up the corners. Like it's impossible. So I'm glad that I didn't have to do any type of like lining up. All I had to do was put the dowels in, put the screws in, follow directions. It was pretty easy. You know, it took about an hour, but it wasn't bad. The quality, you know, when you first pull it out, there's a few little cardboard, kind of like thin boards, like MDF, and then there's some heavier duty, and you're kind of nervous. It's awesome. About 60 pounds. It doesn't seem like it's super top heavy. It feels really sturdy, like it can take a beating. Obviously not quite as sturdy as a traditional arcade, but for being a replica and a miniature version, it's really solid. One other thing you're going to notice, I love just the bezel. I love the bezel around the actual LCD. I love that they included the plastic covering for the actual, you know, arcade controls, the buttons and the joysticks. There was complaints on the original kind of run of arcade 1-ups. They didn't have this, so your actual, you know, overlays were getting worn out after just a little bit of use because there wasn't something to protect it while your hands were kind of mashing. So I love that they included this plastic overlay here. I think that was a huge thing and something that was easily fixable, and I'm glad they did that. You have the list of games across the front, Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. And speaking of Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3, you got 3 games. It's not just Mortal Kombat 2. You're getting Mortal Kombat 1, you're getting Mortal Kombat 2, and you're getting Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, which is the best version of Mortal Kombat 3. Yeah, you can argue the point, but what is the point? Mortal Kombat 3, the Ultimate version, is the best. You get Scorpion back. If you don't have Scorpion in the game, it's absolute dog crap. So Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is the best version. And they play fantastic. You know, I do have a MAME arcade machine. I know, some people hate emulation. My bad, whatever. With that being said, I compared this one to that one, and they're really similar. I thought maybe this version might have a little bit of updated, like, maybe they'd smooth out the graphics a little bit, maybe they'd make it a little bit more HD, but they didn't. It's a true arcade emulation. It's a replica and an emulation of the arcade. And I'll show you a video here where I played a little bit of the MAME. I had Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and I had it on this, and they're pretty much identical. I don't remember if there was scan lines as a kid or, you know, exactly how it looked, so maybe there was some changes. But if I can't remember, it doesn't matter. It plays like I remember. The joystick has changed. They did kind of have that ball top joystick on some of the originals. They changed it to more, I think it's like the baseball bat or, you know, bat style, where it's kind of tapered. I love this joystick. It's an 8-way joystick. The one thing I will say though is that even though it's 8-way, I can feel that it's a square kind of like piece underneath the joystick, that plastic, kind of like the word that it kind of stops it from going. It doesn't really matter, but I can just tell. An arcade purist, obviously, you're probably not going to love the joystick. You're not going to love the buttons. But for the everyday consumer, it's perfect. I'm just excited about it. Like, it's just awesome. Like, so the question is, why did I buy this if I've already got a main machine that has the games on there? Because it's freaking rad. That's why. It is a talking point when you walk in my game room. I have a Mortal Kombat freaking 2 arcade. Yeah, it's small. Okay. But I got the riser. I'm 5'7". It's perfect for me. Even my tall friends, they'll figure it out. So that's the main reason I got it. It comes with an LCD. The LCD screen looks great. Too bad you can't plug in something and use it as a monitor, at least as far as I know. Maybe there's some mods to that. But for the most part, it looks fantastic. The LCD screen looks great. The bezels, the overlay, the artwork, everything about it is just screaming nostalgia. And I absolutely love it. And this is one that I could see people walking through, Walmart, even if they haven't played games in years, and just stopping and going, I love Mortal Kombat as a kid, and picking it up. So, I talk about all the amazing things I love about it. It looks great, it plays great, the emulation feels good, all 3 games really feel true to what they felt like, even though I was getting my freaking butt kicked at Mortal Kombat 2, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just not good at Mortal Kombat. I'm not a die-hard Mortal Kombat fan, but I love the series. And that's the main reason I had to get it. But there are a couple complaints. Not everything can be perfect. It can't be all peaches and cream all day, folks. So, 3 kind of major complaints, and they're not even that bad once you break them down. 1, when I booted this thing up for the first time, it had a high-pitched squeal, like a high-pitched frequency noise when you're going to pick which version of Mortal Kombat you want to play, 1, 2, or 3. And it really freaked me out, because I'm like, crap, like, did I get a bad, motherboard, or is something wrong with my speaker already blown out? And once you pick a game, it disappears. So, really, it's not a big deal. Once you're into the game, that high-pitched frequency is gone, but it sure freaked me the hell out when I started it up the first time. Second off, I don't love the buttons. I think most people aren't going to really care, but for me, they just feel hollow. They're great with the response. There's no lag. I'm not a hardcore frames per second. I don't really care a ton about graphics. Like, is that 1080p or is that 4K? I mean, it makes a difference, but I'm not hardcore about it. Same thing with the buttons. I'm not hardcore, but I'm used to my MAME cabinet, the X Arcade configuration, the way they feel. They just feel like they have a little more substance to them. But that's because the X Arcade alone, just for the joystick, is like $100. And obviously this being $300 is included is a great deal. But for me, it just feels a little hollow. Like if I slam it, you can hear it. But I kind of wish it had a little bit more resistance so it felt like I was pushing the button. Now, again, it's more a matter of my personal preference. The response is fantastic. The buttons feel great. When you're playing the game, it's just like you remember. So it's not like it affects the gameplay. It's just my own personal preference of the buttons are a little hollow. I wish they had a little more resistance. So again, not a huge complaint. And if I, really cared, I'm sure I can figure something out. But that's not a big deal. The third thing that bothered me was the freaking volume, which is kind of notorious. These things are notorious for that. So there's one speaker. Traditionally, I would say it'd be nice to have 2, but this thing could have been half a speaker. So there's 3 settings. 1 is off, which is on now because it's so damn loud you wouldn't be able to hear me. The second setting is medium, which is, well, let's just get into it here. I'll let you hear it. Excellent. So this is medium. It's loud. I mean, maybe in a decent setting it wouldn't be terrible, but like down here at night, it's pretty loud for medium. This is freaking blow your eardrums out if you don't like your arcade. This is the highest setting. It's ridiculous. So basically, yeah, you got louder than hell, and then you have blow your eardrums and your speaker out. So again, third complaint, volume is too loud. But you know what? There's a configuration setting within each game you can go into, and you can reduce the volume to what you like, and then save it. So that's awesome. So the 3 complaints I have are the high-pitch frequency, which only lasts at that initial loading screen. Once you pick a game, it's gone, so that's rad. The buttons are just not to my personal liking, but I think it's something I would get used to, so it's not a big deal, just my own personal preference. And the volume, but the nice thing is the volume, you can adjust it within its internal configuration. So really, the 3 things that I even have issues with are easily fixable. So that is really it. So, is this worth $300? That's the kind of question that I think people want to know. And it depends. I'll break it down. If you're an arcade purist, you're probably not going to want to buy this. You're already probably spending hundreds of dollars on arcades. You might even own this one, or you're just going to go to a local arcade that has it and play it. If you're an arcade purist, you're not going to deal with the emulation. You're not going to like this, and that's okay. But this is made for the mass, not the few. It's made for the many, not the few. And the many are not going to notice a difference between the original arcade and this. And that's where I think it's awesome. So for $300, if you were a kid in the 90s, or you want an arcade but don't want to spend $500, $600, $700 on one, it's worth every penny. You get 3 classic games in a pretty small, compact place where you can fit in a corner. It doesn't take up much space. You have a great bezel, all the graphics. It's a great talking point. It looks good in any game room. Put it in your freaking living room for a while and see how many people can't stay away from it. It's one of those where I feel like this might be the best arcade 1-up. I've seen a lot of reviews, I've watched a lot of games. I love the Street Fighter one, but I think it had that like ball top, and I just love everything about this. Everything that was negative about the original first run of them, they fixed with the plastic, with the new joysticks. It's one of the best looking cabinets, and because of that, yeah, I think it's worth $300. I think it's going to be huge for people that may not even be gamers really anymore. I could see that dad or that mom who was a gamer in the 90s as a kid. Everybody went to the arcade, even if you weren't a big gamer, and are walking through Walmart, maybe even around Christmas time later this year, and they see this arcade 1-up system in the electronics section, and they end up picking it up for nostalgic reasons. That's the many that I'm talking about. And I feel like it's going to suffice for most gamers out there that are into gaming, and most people that need that nostalgic itch finally taken care of. This is a perfect system for, I think, just about anybody who's into old school fighters, who's into Mortal Kombat, and someone who's been wanting an arcade in their house that maybe hasn't had the chance to pull the trigger, maybe hasn't had the money for a nice, huge arcade system. These arcade 1-ups are amazing, and Mortal Kombat in particular is the ultimate finisher. It is the fatality to the arcade 1-ups. It is the best. So if you have $300 and you want to get an arcade 1-up and you are a fan of Mortal Kombat, I don't think you can go wrong with this system. What do you think about it? Are you willing to spend $300 on an arcade 1-up? Is this the one you want? Do you want Street Fighter? Do you want Pac-Man? Do you already own one? Let me know in the comments below what you think. With that being said, thanks a lot for watching. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing, trying to put these videos out. Maybe arcades, maybe games, maybe lists, I don't know. It's something new every week. Most importantly, guys, keep trolling, keep rolling. We'll see you next week.